mindset people have actually affects group outcomes. It affects outcomes in businesses, in organizations. It affects the outcome in relationships. It affects the outcomes in the lives of our children, in our partners' lives, and all of that. So I'll start with the chapter 5. I'll try to be as fast as possible because there's a lot. This book is loaded. We really cannot do justice to it, but I'll do as much as I can. Chapter 5 focuses on organizations. One of the things I love about the book is the fact that it's research-based. It's not just something that somebody just conjured up in their minds. It's that, they actually did research, read books, interviewed people, did went the whole 9 yards, the research way. And in chapter 5, they tell us that in the US, a lot of organizations at a particular period of time failed, and some of them succeeded. And they went on to analyze the reasons why this happened. And this author is telling us that, listen, it's not really the reasons that people thought it was. Using an example of one of these organizations named Enron, it's an energy company in America, and it's collapsed after a major accounting scandal. And so, after the collapse and everything, they wanted to understand, why did this company actually fail? The general belief was that, because there was corruption. And this author is telling us, listen, it wasn't the corruption. It wasn't the failure in their accounting that made them fail. It was actually the mindset, not just the mindset, but the mindset of the leader. So it's telling us now that the leader is a major factor when it comes to how organizations and businesses succeed in the end. The mindset of the leader primarily. So Enron failed because the person who was leading the organization had a fixed mindset. This fixed mindset showed itself up in another mindset the author called the talent mindset. The talent mindset is that, we're going to hire only people who have talent, or people who went to Ivy League schools. They come in full, they are the full package. They are perfect. Those are people we want to employ. They are not people who come in and are seeking to improve themselves. They already have the belief that, we are the best. They broke an arm and the leg trying to get these people because they believe that's all they need. People who are talented. That's a fixed mindset. Because already they have put those people in a mindset where they believe that, they have everything to, contribute to this organization. And they're probably the reason why this organization will succeed. So they come in there already crippled with that mindset. The fixed mindset cripples you because you don't know what else to do. And then eventually things happen and the organization fails. This is what this author is saying, that because of that talent mindset, they couldn't grow. But the growth mindset kind of leaders don't believe it's about talent. There are so many things involved, but they don't believe it's about talent. They believe it's about grit. It's about people who are willing to learn and grow. Yeah. So for them, just like it is in sports, fixed mindset people are like, people that succeed in business, they are naturals. Like they were born for it. But, the growth mindset people are like, listen, it's not about being a natural. It's about what can you learn? What obstacles can you overcome? How can you, face challenges and overcome them, basically. So for this chapter 1, let me just do a quick, bullet points of things that you can pick or nuggets from the chapter 1. It says that, of course, I've said already that the type of leader determines how the organization succeeds in the end. That fixed mindset leaders are leaders that used ego and self-proclaimed talent, but growth mindset leaders are not those kinds of leaders. They are gracious, they are polite, they constantly ask questions, they confront the most brutal, answers that people give them. They face failure, even their own failure. They're not afraid to face themselves and say, okay, this is where I failed. But one thing that differentiates them is that they believe that even as they are facing those challenges, they will succeed in the end. So that drives them they continue to face the challenges because they know they will succeed in the end. They are not like, oh, I'm a success now, so doesn't matter what I do or what I do not, they also believe in human development. Fixed mindset people, leaders, don't believe much in developing people. Of course, like the talent mindset already shows us, they believe that you come ready made. So they are not thinking of developing people. But the growth mindset leader brings people in with the aim to make them better. It's like, they see the whole organization as they themselves, the leader growing, the people inside it growing, and then the organization grows. But the fixed mindset leader, everything revolves around them. They have yes men around them. At the end of the day, they don't mind sinking the whole ship for their own ego. That's the fixed mindset leader. Then the growth mindset leaders, they don't claim credit for others' contributions. Fixed mindset leaders like to claim credit. They're always trying to prove that they are better than others because, of course, they are coming from that talent, orientation. And then they undermine other people's people in order to feel powerful. But growth mindset people, like we already said, they try to improve all the time. They look at their own mistakes. They ask themselves, what skills and, do I need? What skills does my company need? Or will they need in the future? And then they surround themselves with the most able people they can find, not based on the fantasies they have about talent. They don't set out to be leaders. They have no interest in improving themselves, but they are just doing what they love to do. And they find joy in improving, in breaking boundaries, and then they get into leadership by doing that. But fixed mindset people already come with the belief that, oh, I'm the guy, I'm your guy. At the end of the day, they do what they do. Growth mindset people listen, they credit, and they nurture. They listen, they credit, they nurture. Fixed mindset leaders do not give credit. At the end of the day, they don't give credit. They don't listen. Like we said, everything revolves around them. Growth mindset leaders guide. They don't judge. They select people for their mindsets, not their pedigree. They're about growth, not self-importance. One of the people that were, one of the examples were given, like there were many examples given for each category. There were leaders that were examined. And then, one of the examples given for the growth mindset leaders was a woman called Anne. I can't pronounce the other name, but she's Anne, CEO. She was CEO of Xerox. And it was her toughness and her compassion that made her turn the company around. The company was almost failing. But when she came in, at first she met with opposition. But because she had to make some tough decisions, like laying people off. But what she did was that to kind of buffer the effect of that, she came closer to the people. She went down to meet with people at the hallway, talk one-on-one to people that were not at her level. But the first thing actually that was said about her is the fact that she learned. The first thing she did was to go on a journey of learning. Because when she came, she would ask questions about this department, that unit, and people really didn't know what they were doing. So she wanted to know, okay, what's really going on? She went and did courses. She would go home with binders full of information, reading, learned accounting from the very beginning, went down to 101 of everything they do in the organization to understand the processes, understand the loopholes, to be able to find them and to be able to, begin to proffer solutions. So this is what growth mindset people do. They don't come like, oh, I have the answers. They come ready to learn. Like, okay, what do I need to know to actually, their aim is to solve problems. Their aim is not to confirm to you their brilliance, really. So that's like the difference between them. Another thing that was said that really, got me was the fact that they are full of gratitude. These growth-minded leaders are full of gratitude. At the end of the day, when they are interviewed, they will tell their interviewers that, listen, it's not about me. It wasn't me. It was my workers that actually made this happen. They are the heroes in the story. At the end of the day, they are just grateful for the opportunity to do what they did. They are grateful, for the opportunity to solve problems. Basically, that's their mindset. That's their mindset. It's very interesting. If you, even after this review, if you haven't read it, try to read it. Like, the stories are amazing. Then these are like the evidences of a fixed mindset leader. I've said some of them. They believe in superiority. So they believe that in this world, though, there are people who are superior and that they are one of them. Then they use the people around them and their business or company to affirm their superiority. So their aim for succeeding. Like, this thing it might sound far-fetched, but these are things that if we search within ourselves, we may find some of these traits. So they use this company to confirm and to affirm to the world that they are important, they are great, they are brilliant, they were able to succeed with this and all of that. They don't believe in teams or in mentoring people, employee development. They refuse to acknowledge their deficiencies. They have very big egos. They can sacrifice the company at the end of the day because they want to meet their needs. But eventually,
made me laugh.
They measure themselves and their legacy. Yes, that is more important to them than anything else. Like, their personality and their legacy, it outweighs everything else. And the author now tells us that, listen, these people are not evil. It's not like they're evil like that, though. They just always choose at critical moments where they need to make decisions. They choose what will make them feel and look good. So, it's sounding like, oh, these people are just some psychopaths or something. But these are like everyday people too. In our own spheres, how do we make decisions when it's time to make decisions? What do we think about? What do we default to? Is it, things that make us feel good about ourselves and things that make us look good to others? That's like the pathway to becoming a fixed mindset leader. Fixed mindset leader grow to become brutal bosses. They are the types of bosses that make everyone around them sick and make everything revolve around them, basically. Because everybody wants to please the boss. At the end of the day, they make themselves those kinds of people that everyone is just tiptoeing around to please them. It's no longer about what goals we want to achieve. One of the examples I was giving in the book was about a guy that his bosses did not accept one solution he brought forward. So the tech company. But I hope you can hear me. Can you still hear me?
We can.
Oh, okay. Call was coming in. So this guy, his solution was rejected, but he took that solution out into the market. He actually created the product. He made it look like, nothing, I'm still, I'm doing this for the organization. And he actually went and sold that product to customers. People loved it. The product sold out. And then, the leader, his boss, eventually now called him and said, listen, I love what you have done. You defied my orders, but you were able to make a difference. That's on the part of the guy himself. It was growth mindset because he did not allow the situation to deter him. His aim was to find a solution, and he did. On the part of the leader too, maybe initially he could have had a fixed mindset, but then he leveled up a little bit when he actually publicly acknowledged the guy for what he had done. Another story that was told that I think is very important is the story of a guy who is an engineer, and he was working at a site when one of his experiments or something blew up the roof of the building. He was feeling so terrible that he drove from the site to the office, which was like several miles away, and went to report himself. Okay, no. So yeah, it was one of the leaders that was interviewed for the book. And he said when he got there that his boss gave him so much understanding and said, listen, these things happen. I mean, what you are doing is just, you are doing it because you're trying to find a solution and all of that. and he didn't judge him, and that really made him. So what they tried to tell us there was that fixed mindsets can actually be developed, changed rather. This guy, he was not, he was one of those that were celebrated to have the growth mindset, but he was telling us that, listen, I didn't get there today. I also had aspects of me that were fixed, and my previous leaders, did not even want to put me in positions of authority because they felt like, oh, this guy, he does not, he's so fixed and all of that. But he learned from one of his leaders, and he's began to implement some of those things. So he grew to become the kind of leader that, encourages his team, believes in mentoring and developing his team and all of that. And then he told the story of, that story of how he blew up the place, and then his boss gave him understanding, and that really changed the game for him. Very interesting story. So,
let me allow you catch your breath a little. Let me just tell you something at this point. You are doing a wonderful job. Chad was going to take this part, but you are just gliding through the whole thing. Thank you so much. Let me just allow you catch your breath a little. Yeah, so that case study really resonated with me also. And what I really found inspiring about, I'm mixing up the case studies now. What I really found inspiring about the boss in question, or his boss, because I'm mixing it up, was the fact that the man was in touch with the feelings of the employees. Like you mentioned, he blew up maybe like a factory or something, and he expected the man was going to go all out for him. And the guy showed him so much compassion that you were trying to solve problems. And that was like a culture shock for him. And at that point, his mindset actually that, okay, you can be a leader. You're not just all about the bottom line. Because there are times you are just about how much is this thing going to make us, how much we don't want to lose money. But sometimes it's okay to lose money also, because when you lose those money, when you fail, quote and unquote, failure is feedback, right? Failure helps you gather data. Exactly, it helps you gather data, and some problems you might never have solution to some problems if you don't make them at a small scale, right? So God will allow you. Yes, God will allow you make those mistakes at a small scale to save you from a bigger calamity. And I found myself in that situation many times before. And there was also one instance also that was cited. Okay, I don't want to take it beyond there. I just want to go at your pace. But really, I found myself working under some bosses that some had closed mindset, some had growth mindset, and the experience were two worlds apart. They were 2 worlds apart. Yes, working under someone that has a growth mindset doesn't mean it's all going to be lovey-dovey, a roller coaster ride and all that, right? You have to stretch, but even while stretching, you don't have to lose your humanity. For someone, a leader that has a fixed mindset, for instance, it's all about their ego. It's all about their ego, their self-image. They make it all about themselves, even without realizing that. Sometimes we feel, these people are just terrible people, but you'll be so surprised that when we really take a lens, when we put a lens into our own personal lives, we realize that there are actually areas we are struggling with this. So, like recently, after I turned 40, okay, when I was a teenager, I was really obsessed with the books of Solomon, Proverbs and Ecclesiastes to be precise. I really loved them. And it felt like I was learning, and it was really wonderful. Like I was always so happy to turn the pages in the evening by our window in the evening, until I started growing up. Recently, I don't find it funny anymore. Like, Baba, are you attacking me? Are you after my life? Is this Baba targeting me? Because really, I now found myself in light of all those issues, like, okay, I think I really, this thing is talking to me. I think I need to make adjustments in this area. I need to make adjustment in this area. Like, I just feel attacked. Like, what is going on, Solomon? How far now? So really, that is what growth mindset is about. We don't get there one day. It's a continuous effort, and understanding that we are all flawed in one area or the other. And when we get to that point, we actually extend some grace to people who are still erring in that regard, and we give them grace also to grow. The same way we're trying to give ourselves grace to grow. Thank you so much. You can continue.
All right. Thank you. I agree with that. Absolutely. Okay, so let me just wrap up the leadership part of it. So one of the things that struck me was that some of these things that the fixed mindset leaders do is because they are worried about being judged, and everyone else around them also begins to worry about being judged. So it just keeps going on and on like that, and eventually things don't go the way they ought to. So the final point here is that it is hard for courage and innovation to survive a company-wide fixed mindset, because the fixed mindset leader draws other people, others in the organization, into that fixed mindset as well. So it becomes a thing, it becomes an organizational culture. So this is for us to also learn for our businesses as well, for those of us running businesses, running organizations, or intend to do so in the past and in the future, or are in any position of leadership at all. With the fixed mindset, courage and innovation do not thrive. So another aspect that was looked at was in groups, in parenting, in negotiation, in relationships in general. Fixed mindset in groups leads to what we call groupthink. Groupthink is that everyone is just going the same way. No divergence. Nobody is saying, "Oh, let's look at it differently." Why? Because a lot of fixed mindset people get anxious about disapproval of their ideas. So they won't speak out because, oh, what if my idea is disapproved? What if they find me out? I'm not so I'm not as brilliant as they thought I was, and all of that. Or they just don't want to be questioned like that. So everyone just goes that way. Everyone just goes with the same decisions. Then in parenting, which is one of the areas I'm so excited about, the fixed mindset, a generation of parents, and children were studied, and they realized that fixed mindset in parenting leads to raising an overpraised generation. So you have children who were praised for everything. You did this. Fantastic. You are wonderful. You are the best. There is no one like you. So, they begin to wallow in that orientation of they are perfect the way they are. They don't need to change anything. And then, due to a skewed sense, like the author said, it's a skewed sense of how parents should love their children. Because they want to love their children, then they overpraise them, basically. And one of the how do I say this now? One of the important things about the growth mindset is actually that you praise. When it comes to parenting, it's actually that you praise, but the difference is in what you praise for. What do you praise your children for? Instead of praising your children just for anything, praise them for seeing difficult tasks through. Praise them for taking initiative. Praise them for going through struggle to learn something new. Praise them for being undeterred by setbacks. Praise them for being open to criticism and acting on it. Because it's one thing to be open to it, and it's another thing to actually act on it. And growth mindset really is about action. It's about acting. It's about acting, because it's in when you do that you learn, not just what you know, which is fixed mindset. It's all about knowledge. Growth mindset is about action, learning, action. So parents simply praise their children for everything in the fixed mindset category. These children turn out not to do too well in tough situations, and they themselves develop the fixed mindset that, oh, I didn't do well, and they are afraid to attempt those things again next time. So that's a lesson for us as parents. And then in negotiation, mindsets have an important impact on the success of negotiations as well. When you go about your business, your daily activities and all of that, always question, what mindset am I in right now? Am I thinking growth? Am I, in my fixed mindset state? Then in relationships, I'm just rushing through now, 3 minutes more. In relationships, the fixed mindset supports revenge. This one was the one that shocked me.
Sorry, sis. You can extend beyond the 3 minutes since you're taking for the two of you guys, so you can extend beyond, really.
All right then. All right. I'll do that if it's all right by the rest of the house. Okay, so the fixed mindset supports.
That's true. So sorry. Let's all give thumbs up if it's okay by you. So sorry, I forgot that. Let's give thumbs up if it's okay to extend it by, like, say 15-20 minutes. or 10-15 minutes. Let's give thumbs up. Okay, Tosin has. If we have like 4, we extend it. And to be sure
Okay,
that everybody
we have
is listening.
two now.
Okay,
The
we
thing
have
you said, anchors are stubborn. Me, I want to be stubborn today. No, no,
two.
no, no, no,
I'm
no.
giving thumbs up. Please don't do that to us. There's so much to learn.
We
We
have
had
four.
technical
Hallelujah.
issues.
Oh.
Therefore, great. She has given us.
All right. So let's quickly move on. Growth mind. Yeah. So in relationships, the fixed mindset supports revenge. Like they're like, why would you do this to me? They're thinking of basically fixed mindset people internalize everything. Everything is really about them. So they are thinking, I'm in love with this person, they hurt me. I need to hurt them back. I need to hurt them back. That's all you're thinking. But a growth mindset person is thinking, okay, what lessons do I need to take from what has happened? Another thing that's important about the growth mindset person in a relationship is the fact that they seek to understand. You actually seek to understand, okay, why did this person act in this way? Why is this person breaking up with me? Why, did they not do what I really expected them to do? That's a growth mindset kind of response, not revenge. Like, I don't understand how in a marriage people try to revenge, like, oh, you did this to me, I'll do my own back. It's more about understanding and knowing that we are all open to growth. Basically, let me move on. Growth-minded people seek to understand and forgive. Rejection wounds inflames people. It wounds and inflames people that are of the fixed mindset. And there's a research that was conducted, and they learned that kids with fixed mindsets react to bullying with thoughts of violent retaliation. And that's how the whole thing about, what's the thing now in America? The gun violence thing, how children that were bullied turn to guns at the end of the day, just going to a school and shoot people down because they're in that mindset of, I didn't deserve this. This was done to me. I have to revenge. The mindset is not, okay, what can I take from this? Oh, maybe I should understand that these people that did this to me, they don't know better. They were not raised well. They have issues of their own. And all of that. At the end of the day, people who think like that, their aim at the end of the day is to forgive and to actually move on with their lives. Like, I have a lot to do. Why do I need to sit back and be overwhelmed with this thought about revenge? So there's that. And the growth mindset says you, your partner, and your relationship are capable of growth. But it doesn't mean that, someone, the other person, in the case of people who are not married, the other person doesn't want to change, and then you're trying to change them by force because they are growth mindsets. No, it's not, that's not what it means. That is not what it means. It means that, that there's room for growth. Like, my partner is not yet there. In some areas, there are some things that, they are not perfect at. And the same thing applies to me. I'm not perfect. There are some areas that I need to improve in. And I'm actually making moves to improve. So if you have a couple who have a growth mindset, both of them are working with each other to get better, to improve from time to time. Nobody is saying, oh, okay, because you didn't do this, then it's the end. Or because somebody ended it, now I have to now die or something. So there was an example that was given of a lady who oh goodness, on her wedding day, the guy just didn't show up. Everything was ready. She was at the altar. Husband to be just did not show up. So what happened was her family, her friends, everyone rallied around her, and they said, listen, this reception that you planned, we're not going to scatter it or anything. We're going to go there. We are going to celebrate your singlehood. We are going to celebrate that you did not get into this situation that could have ended up even worse than it is now. And that's what they did. They went there, they partied, they were happy. At the end of the day, they learned that this guy, the vacation that they had planned for their honeymoon, the guy went alone and didn't show up for the wedding. But the news went round, the story became inspiring for people. She totally changed her orientation that day. Instead of wallowing in pity for herself, for what had happened, she became this happy, glowing self. And of course, she was encouraged to go through therapy and all of that. And basically, the situation turned into something better than it would have been if she had not been inspired in that time to embrace the growth mindset. Also, the fixed mindset believes in instant, perfect, and perpetual compatibility, meaning that this person we must be like perfectly compatible, like it was meant to be. Your love story should be perfect. You should just, look each other in the eyes and just lock eyes, and everything just goes smoothly from there. They expect everything good to happen automatically because they are in love. So everything has to be perfect. Even outside a relationship, the fixed mindset individual just has this orientation about life that everything has to go well. If it's not going well, then they're just sad. Everything just has to go well. They're waiting for the perfect timing for everything. That's a fixed mindset. The growth mindset people don't expect magic. They believe that a lasting relationship comes from effort and working through, differences that are inevitable. So they work at it, those differences. Fixed mindset equals low effort. It equals belief in reading minds instead of communicating. You just believe that you should know now. You should know how I feel. You should know how I feel. It was not there when you were growing up. It wasn't there in your previous relationships and the experiences you had that made you, this closed-minded. It was not there when those terrible things happened to your mind and you shut down mentally and all of that. How would you know that this is the reason they're behaving like this? Maybe you've discussed it, but they did not internalize it. And that's why you need to communicate, basically. So fixed mindset says, you must read my mind. You must agree with everything. That's fixed mindset. If you disagree, it means that something is wrong. Once you disagree, you just break up. That's the end of the relationship. He's not happy with me. I'm not happy, then we have to end it. Fixed mindset says problems indicates character flaws. Like any little problem like this, this guy has bad character, they're a terrible person. They're not reflecting on scenarios, on factors, and trying to work through it together. On the flip side, growth mindset confronts situations. It says, oh, this happened, let's talk about it. They talk about everything possible to be talked about and seek to grow through that. Growth mindset makes informed decisions about the next action, apart from just gisting about it. So what are we going to do now to improve our situation? They acknowledge each other's limitations and build from there. After acknowledging your limitation, then you build from there. You don't just sit back and say, oh, this is my limitation. That's how I am. That's just me. But a growth mindset person says, listen, it has now been revealed to me from what you're communicating to me that I'm actually like this in situations like this. All right, this and this and this is what I will do to improve so that we can have a healthier relationship. Partners, at the end of the day, must acknowledge the need for and commit to change with concrete actions. The point of marriage is to encourage your partner's development and to have them encourage yours as well. Right? That's about relationship. It doesn't mean you're attempting an extreme makeover on partners. A scenario was painted where this lady, every time she's in a relationship, everything that guy does, she wants to also do. In her mind, she wants to support, but at the end of the day, she gives up this vibe of, you're competing with me, because she now does it even better than the guy. And the guy is like, oh, what's my use in this situationship? And ends the relationship. So it doesn't mean that, you're trying to help your partner develop, doesn't mean that you take over their lives completely or make them feel helpless and useless in their own lives. We have to balance these things, and that's what the growth mindset does, right? In friendships also, these two mindsets come to play. People who always need validation and use people for it, that happens a lot in friendship. These people have fixed mindsets, right? It's all about them. Your failures and misfortunes don't threaten other people's self-esteem. Ego-wise, it's easy to be sympathetic. I'm reading this, it's a quote from the book. It's easy to be sympathetic to someone in need. It's your assets and your successes that are problems for people who drive their self-esteem from being superior. That's like, the mindset that they have. And there's a whole lot to talk about. Also, another interesting thing that was discussed is some setbacks, actually, from this research they did and making this knowledge available to people. Some people actually began to misunderstand the growth mindset. And so, they just see it as maybe criticism, receiving, what's it called now? Constructive criticism. They just coin all sorts of things for it. They also talk about teachers and coaches. Yes, our teachers can be in the fixed mindset as well, and that doesn't help the children to learn, the students to learn. Talk about coaches as well. Give several examples. So we really cannot exhaust it, but it also has a role in how teachers approach their job. A growth mindset eventually breaks barriers. When you are teaching a child and they're not even interested in learning, they've come with a lot of baggage. And for you to actually break through to their minds, you have to have a growth mindset. Some people, teachers with fixed mindsets, categorize children as, oh, this one is brilliant, this one's a dull. And that's how they approach their teaching. But a teacher with a growth mindset actually sees beyond what the child is showing them in the moment. They go beyond the surface, try to look for technique. Like the idea is really that they learn. A child comes, is so problematic, you don't know how to handle it. They seek ways to actually address the situation, where other teachers will just give up and say, these ones don't know anything. Let me focus on the ones that are responding. These teachers actually go, they actually go the extra mile to find ways to reach out, to create a connection with the child. That's a growth mindset teacher. There's a hand up. I don't know if that's a question. You can unmute if you want to speak, please.
Thank you so much, Peggy Maria. Doing a wonderful job. I just wanted to add something before I forget regarding the part of the teacher's growth mindset and classifying of students under category of being brilliant or lagging behind. Okay, I'll cite an example from my hand. My girl, one of my girls, she had a spelling issue in school because she started school late due to the COVID issue then and all. So it was really tedious getting her to spell and all. So most of the teachers she has been having, I'm just trying to cite an example from realistic ones, just from what you just said about teachers. So she had issue with spelling. She can pronounce word, but she just had issue with the spelling. So most of the teachers then, they are always complaining everything, like she's taking the student behind and all. Then I always have issue with what they are saying. I'm like, why are you a teacher? I felt you should be able, and I'm doing my own from my hand here. I feel, okay, you have the knowledge, the background from your teaching school. You should know how to, even if I'm not doing a great job from my own end at home, you should be able to assist a child. I was furious then and all. I got her lesson teacher, little improvement. But I'll say going to 2 years now, they got her a new, in fact, because of her, they had to retain that teacher for a second year class. She's in year 2 now. They had to retain that same teacher in that class because of her. She changed, everything changed. And I had to ask the teacher, what concept did she use? She was like, the problem is patience. And also the thing is, it's not that she doesn't know how to spell. She only spell with sound. And it's not a correct spelling, but if you sound like, just for instance, the way we coin words now, like we shorten words. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. The way we shorten words now, if you pronounce them, you still get the exact pronunciation you're trying to. It's just that it's not the right spelling. If you pronounce that word, she's going to spell it out, but not the right spelling. But if you call it out, you still get that things. So that is
Yeah.
what those teachers are not getting. And she gave her that
Mhm.
chance. And then she now brought her all her paperwork. I was shocked because I realized that all her writings, those spellings are not the correct spelling, but I was able to read them to
Mm.
get the information she was passing. But they are not the correct spelling. But she was able to put that thing down the way the teacher was saying it. So
Mm.
it was later she was now correcting her with
Mm.
the sound to blend them together. And thank God now she can write, she can spell things on her own without assistance. And like she's not like 2 steps ahead of those ones in class that they were ahead of her before. So I think
Mm.
it's patience and understanding, just the way you put it.
Absolutely.
Like you should be open-minded. You should not look at a child because she's having a difficulty. You are now casting her, making her because whenever
Mhm.
she comes, she cries a lot. She'll be
Oh
like she and
wow.
there's a way those teachers were doing then that I found very painful. They have like a blue table, yellow
Ah,
table, red table. So like it's children that are improving you, they will ask you that okay, you are going
wow.
to sit on a blue table today or something. So she's always on the yellow table and all. I was
Wow.
furious and everything. But when they got the new teacher, thing changed and she has been doing perfectly. And it really inspired me
Mm.
that when even aside schooling, when people make some mistake, it's not because they don't know it. They just need
Mhm.
patience and just their own perspective.
Yeah.
One need to look at their own perspective of things, how they see it. Then you can understand why they do things the way they do. So we shouldn't just jump
Absolutely.
into conclusion that this person is a loser or this person doesn't know how to do things.
Absolutely.
It's just about understanding and patience. So I just thought I should add that
Absolutely.
before. Thank you so much for that part. I really
Oh,
appreciate it.
thank you. Thank you so much for this contribution.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Very valid and valued. Yes. So I have this orientation that, I mean, everyone, it's not just my orientation. I guess it's something I've learned, read somewhere or something. People have different ways they learn. So that child probably was learning the way they are naturally like inclined to. Maybe they are an auditory kind of learner. They are able to retain things by hearing. Some people are able to retain things more easily by what they see, by the pictures that they see, you know. So um it's like you said, it's really about understanding. And you know, another interesting thing I just remember that this book talks about, especially when it comes to teaching, is that teachers are actually learners. Oh. Like in the process of teaching, the growth mindset people, they see it as an opportunity to learn. They don't see it as they have come to just impact knowledge, which is what the fixed mindset people think. They're in that mindset where they're like, oh, I'm the knowledge giver. I've come to impact the knowledge. But the growth mindset teacher says that, oh, well, we are working through this knowledge thing together. We are learning something. I'm saying something, I'm relaying it to you. I'm also learning from your own responses and inputs on that thing. So for that situation, those teachers had something to learn. It was, oh, how does this child learn? Oh, maybe we need to try this. Oh, maybe she will get it better if we did this. Do you understand? Not, oh, this is the way this thing is taught, and we must do it like that. And if you don't get it, that means you are wrong. If you don't do it, you are wrong. You know? So, yeah, that's a typical example of a fixed mindset teacher. And even our curriculums sometimes reflect the kind of mindset that went into creating them. That's the story for another place, another audience, and that time, because we are really overshot the time. So there's a lot that was talked about. There's from the aspect of coaches too, how they coach, trainers, you know, sports trainers, football coaches. There was this guy who was he's a good guy, but there's this part of him who's just crazy because he's trying to make his team succeed so that it reflects that he's brilliant. So he would do anything. Sometimes he would go to the extreme of fighting his own team, like the children he's coaching, locking up their necks, doing extreme things because he thinks that the more extreme he gets, the more. I mean, he's just being driven. He doesn't even know how crazy he looks with what he's doing. He's just being driven by this innate desire to I just want to succeed and I want to use this group to show that I'm a good coach, you know, and maybe that would earn me another place somewhere. That's the fixed mindset. The growth mindset is another coach that then took over after his failure. And that one sought to understand the children better. He came up with lots of strategies to help them cope, to help them learn. To, at the end of the day, it's an experience. Life is an experience. Life, fixed mindset is, the end goal, and it's about me. But growth mindset is about, I want to experience this life. I want to learn through it. I want the people around me to also enjoy it. It's about enjoying the process, basically. Having a growth mindset, learning through the process, enjoying the process, and it ultimately leads to success. It's not a deliberate effort to outshine other people, but at the end of the day, it leads to success. And that's about it for my take on 5 to 8 of this book. Please,
Thanks
still
so
read
much.
it though. Still read it. Even if it takes you 1 year, please read this book. Please. Thank you very much.
Honestly, that book is a gem. I'm not done reading it myself. I'm still going to go back to read it, and it's something you want to go back to over and over, because this mindset business, we can never get it finished. We can never get it finished. Thank you so much for what you did today, Tejumade. We are super
I'm
grateful.
so sorry. I'm
Yes,
so sorry,
yes,
Ariella. I'm so sorry
yes.
to cut you. Let me
Okay.
just quickly say one thing that I forgot
Okay.
to mention. And it's very important. That's why I had to do this. The book said something. It says that we all have the fixed mindset and the growth mindset, right? But what makes the difference, like the turning point for you as an individual, is to be able to recognize the triggers. What is it that puts me in a fixed mindset? I'm about to make a decision. I'm doing things, and you're constantly evaluating yourself and telling yourself, oh, this is normally how I would respond in this situation. Maybe there's a new challenge that has come to me. I would normally withdraw. I don't want to face that challenge head on, because it reminds me of one time in the past when I failed, and then it keeps me in that fixed mindset. But the growth mindset says, okay, I feel very uncomfortable with this, but listen. So, and the book now says, oh, if you can create another persona, give that persona a name and say, oh, yeah, the fixed mindset guy. So when that situation comes up, call to your growth mindset persona and say, okay, now take up this challenge. I know I would normally withdraw in situations like this, but because I want to grow, because I want to learn, I'm going to take it up. I'm going to call on the growth person inside of me, which I want to be the real me, to take up this challenge. So we all have that in areas of our lives. The important thing is to be able to identify it, and then to make the conscious effort in those situations. So it's just saying really that it's not like, oh, you are totally fixed mindset. You are just this person who is not growing. Or it's not like, oh, some people they're just growth mindset all through. We all have a bit of everything, but we need to just identify when we're about to make those fixed mindset decisions and be able to nip it in the bud with embracing the growth mindset. And that would wrap it up. Thank you. Sorry, I had to do that.
That's such a beautiful addition. That was such a beautiful addition. Thank you so much. And really, I don't think there's anything else I have to add after the fine review you did. You did justice. You did justice. This is so fantastic. And I'm happy I'm part of this tonight. I'm happy for everyone who joined also. Just to add a little extra something to what you said. There was one podcast I saw recently. I watch podcasts a lot, and then they were talking about this whole idea of growth mindset and fixed mindset, of course, in another way. And then the guy was saying, when you have a task, for instance, and you say, I can't do this thing, you've automatically told your brain it can't do it, and it will shut down. Your problem solving part of your brain just resigns. But when you say, I think I'm kind of stuck here, but what can I do? If I can do this, I can. Okay, who can I talk to? You've automatically sent a message to do you get to that part of your brain to start working on getting a solution? So when you just see there's a problem, sometimes I just give myself a deadline. I can just tell someone, okay, maybe someone needs me to do something and I know I can't deliver on that thing. I don't know how what it takes. I'll be like, okay, give me till next week, Wednesday, give me till next month to sort this and I'll get back to you. And believe you me, I'll find a solution. But for times I said, I can't find this, I can't do this thing, or I can't find this thing, you're looking for something and you just decide, no, I can't find it. Many times I ask the Holy Spirit, please help me. But recently, I don't know what's been going on. I think I just got, I don't know, when I ask the Holy Spirit, tell me where to, I might not find it. But my husband just asked me recently that, okay, when was the last time you, after saying that prayer, and I found that it was so interesting. But if I had resigned that, oh, more, I can't do this thing. That is all. That is all. Like, so let's always remember to keep our brain in that active mode. Never give up on yourself. Like she said, have a persona, and you always ask that question, okay, what do you think we can do in this situation? And it's also okay to have imposter syndrome. It shows that you're a human being. Many times people say there's nothing like imposter syndrome. Like, I think it is part of who we are. It's what keeps us on our toes, helps us get better. You can actually give it a name. Like Vusi said, there was one event he went for recently, and someone asked him, do you have imposter syndrome? He said, before I came for this event, I still had imposter syndrome, but I call it a name. And I ask, okay, what exactly is the issue? What can we do about this? And so just use that to, like, let's say, is it like your alter ego to actually propel you to be a better person? Yeah, there were also some other case studies that were added to that. And there was one, is it the zeros, and which I've forgotten the name of this person, right? He was to step into this company to actually revive them. And when he went and he analyzed the situation, he realized what was going on is that they had an elitist culture. We had some people like this ones are the special ones.
Royalty.
Yes. So when he got there, the first thing he attacked was actually to, right, break that feeling of superiority. We are better than these ones. Maybe we are the ones bringing in the most money. And he actually laid off one manager who was overworking the people to, he's just all about the bottom line. All this process of people leaders. Jigga is all about get me the money, get me the results, bring in the money, bring in the numbers. He was bringing in the results, but the culture was not right. They had to lay the guy off. So really, it's all about the mindset, the culture, who we are as a person on the inside of us, right? That is just what it's about. So thank you all once again for coming. I had a very wonderful time. I hope next time in the book, so we have a fuller conversation. So it's not just the reviewer that will be doing the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a robust conversation, right? Yeah, so that's what it's about basically. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all. Or does someone have anything to add before we close this? I planned it was going to be okay. Michelle wants to say something.
Okay, yeah. Good evening, everyone. Though I joined the meeting a little bit late, but I think my brain played a wrong trick on me. What I recorded in my brain was 7:30.
Oops.
So I stepped out and I actually came in just some minutes to after 7:30. So
Oh,
yeah, what I wanted to say, especially concerning this fixed mindset of a thing. While growing up, we always had one difficulty or the other, and somehow it recorded in our brain as, okay, this particular thing is something that I am unable to do. For example, myself, I was not so good in mathematics, and so I wanted to study medicine as a course. That was what I wanted to study. But when they were giving our results, I chose science class. When I got to, my father told me that no, your performance in mathematics and physics are not so good, and if you follow that path, it will take you so long to graduate from secondary school. And so I used to, well, though I really was not that good in mathematics, I just agreed to it that okay, everything that has to do with numbers, I'm not so good with it. But when I got into active life with works and everything, I began taking some task, and kind of just unconsciously I will be avoiding the kind of analytical tasks that we have to let your brain a little. You have to calculate this, you have to take this into consideration. I'll be like, okay, this thing, me, I'm not even good in mathematics. So if it has anything to do with mathematics, please count me out. But later, I think it was last year, I attended a training by McKinsey. McKinsey. That's where I got to know about fixed mindset, growth mindset. I now got to discover that anything that you really want to do, if you put your mind to it and you are resilient, you give yourself, and you give yourself 100%, and you also give yourself grace, because the difficulty in breaking it's in the person trying to learn something refusing to give it himself grace. Sometimes once you just encounter one's first difficulty, like, tell that, okay, this thing is not easy for me. But if you give grace, you know that, okay, you are prepared that, okay, I might stumble and fall many times, but
I keep at it.
let me give myself this time. Let me fail and wake up. Let me fail and continue to fail forward and continue to
Very true, very true, very true. So true.
So with this book of Carol Dweck, though I've not really gone so far with it, but I'm still reading. I hope we have another session. So I'll complete the book before then.
We'll have on another book. We'll have on another book. That ought to
Okay.
have been announced already. Yes. So we'll be
Okay.
having this book review monthly. I hope people will be joining in. Right. So we'll be having it monthly. Actually, I planned it was going to be 2 hours because I know there is no way we'll do 30 minutes on each of the book. Or maybe what we'll do is we'll do half of the book in 1 month, then in 1 week, then the next week we'll do the other half. I don't know how that's going to play, because really doing 1 hour, the whole book is not going to do justice to it. So I actually plan again to end at 8 in my head. So there's no way again.
We should do review per book so that people have enough time to read.
We can
the
also
book.
do the conversation on the group, on WhatsApp group. So probably there are things you learned. You are free to drop insights, and people. I actually wish would be that open, but someone can always start it. You can always start it, and you see how the conversation will just go. Hopefully, people are reading the book. Yeah. Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you so much. All right, I hand over to Tejumade to round off today's book review, the meeting.
Oh, all right. Thank you so very much. I'm grateful for the opportunity to have done this. I have learned a lot myself, and it actually forced me to finish the book. I had read snippets here and there, but I had to finish it, and I'm glad I did. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Ariella. Thank you for everyone. Thank you to everyone who joined the review, and I hope we do more of this and continue to learn and improve ourselves in every area, in parenting, in our businesses, in our careers, in our personal lives. All right. Thank you so much. And good night, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tejumade. Good night, everyone. Thank you for
Good
coming.
night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. I cherish you. Thank you, Michelle. Bye.
Welcome.